All right. Sometimes your channel just needs content, and it's got kind of slow is because nobody was tagging me. But I guess spring is eternal. After springtime, they came out of their winter hibernation, and here they are back again. But I thought during the hibernation they would actually get smarter, and they didn't. Now on the screen, this fool Big J Triple X, our resident short bus kid, is trying to use the Virgin Mary to shame us into a different stance on single mothers. Now, personally, the black community as a whole for 200 years has wifed up, married, took care of other people's children. Okay, because basically we were raised as a village. And to keep the family alive, to keep the village alive, to keep the society, as the community, as we called it, the black community, alive, it was necessary for black men to actually step up and cover the mistakes of black women. Black women are probably the loosest people on the planet with their womb. And I do mean that. It's something that Moynihan and Clark complained about even way back then. Hell, even Franklin complained about the looseness of a black womb back then. So black men have had the task of covering for the loose morals and the looseness of the black female womb for 200 years, even to the point where we raised the white landowners' kids because we're socialized to do that. We're socialized to keep the family as intact as we can. And at some point, even that has to give out. One reason is that the black man was cornered into a cubicle. He really couldn't date any other group of people, any other culture, without some severe repercussions. So they kept black men in a box. At some point, that box had to be lifted, had to be disintegrated. And what you're seeing now is the lid being lifted off of black male choice. So they don't have to cover bad decisions by black females anymore. But that's beside the point. But this fool is trying to use the example of the Virgin Mary to actually shame black men. What if the Virgin Mary was alive today and the virgin birth actually happened today? Would black people, black men, the black manosphere, or the manosphere in general, still feel the same way about the Virgin Mary? First of all, let's get it straight. Big J Triple X, respectfully, you do not know what the fuck you're talking about, man. You don't even read your literature. And I hate people that try to use the Bible as an argument without actually knowing what's in it. You didn't even read it. You could have read the first couple of chapters and figured this shit out instead of making a dumbass argument like you just did. Now, I'm no longer a Christian. I haven't really read the Bible in about 20 years. I haven't really read it. I read pieces of it, but I haven't really read the Bible cover to cover in about 20 years. That's my mother and my grandson and my, the other folks in my family that are devout, that read it cover to cover. I do not. So I had to recall it, even though I have not read it in 20 years, even though I have not read that section in about 40 years. I remember the story of Mary and Joseph. I remember it. Now, back then, fornication was a sin. It could be severely punished. Maybe not in death, but severely punished. Adultery was punished by death. Jewish people, which Mary was not a Christian, Mary was Jewish, Joseph was Jewish. Jewish law was extremely strict about something like this. Extremely strict about something like this. It was not tolerated. And Mary being pregnant out of wedlock, when she's supposed to be a virgin, supposed to be betrothed to a man, to her husband, that is extremely, I can't stress this, extremely out of pocket, to the point where she could have been, she could have been sent away or worse. She could have been ostracized, her and the child, or worse. Now, according to the story, according to the mythos, the emissary of God came down and told Mary that the child that's in her was of the Lord, of God. Okay? It was implanted by God. So the angel visited not only Mary, but also her mother, telling the story that this child is from God. And now the parents know that this woman has not been touched. But guess who doesn't know that this woman has not been touched? It's Joseph. Joseph don't find out that Mary's pregnant until he gets there. This woman's full-blown pregnant. And she's supposed to be a virgin. Now, back then, that was a stoning violation. She could have been stoned for that. That brings extreme shame on the family. Hell, it does now. Imagine that your young wife that's supposed to have 0 bodies, and she's betrothed to you, and when you come pick her up, she's 4 months pregnant. Are you going to marry her? Even now, how liberal you are. I don't care how much a feminist you are. If you are a stark, raving feminist man, and your fiance is carrying another man's child, are you going to marry that woman? I think not. I think that people will call you a cuck, and they would be 100%. Remember the Scarlet Letter, where he's away for 2 years and he comes back and this woman's got a child? He guess what he did? He sent her away. He sent her to the woods. That's what would happen to Mary. She'd have got sent away, as she should have. But guess what had to happen? God's emissary had to come down and tell Joseph, this is what's up. This is why this baby has to be taken care of by you. Because guess what Joseph was going to do? He showed her mercy. When he first found out she was pregnant, he showed her mercy. He said, you know what? It's a bad look if I announce in public that this woman is pregnant and it's not mine. It's a bad look on me. It's a bad look on the family. It's a bad look on her. Her life will not be the same. But guess what? I can't, in all good conscience, just like any other man on the planet, could God just take a wife that's pregnant by another man? Not in all good conscience. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I said, I'm going to send her away privately. I said, here's some money. Send her away. I'm going to divorce her right now. And we'll never speak of it again. That way I don't look bad. This way you don't look bad. And that way she does not face severe repercussions, her and this baby. Very noble. Go look at it. It's called Matthew, 1st chapter, 18th verse, 18 through 19. Go read it. Now, I can tell you this. If all the single mothers in the black community can have an angel of God come down and talk to the proposed man that she's interested in and argue her case, her and her kid's case, I think 99.99% of black men would go for it. God said it. Angel came down, told me that you have to take this woman and this child. I think 99.99% of black men would take it and wouldn't say a word. But I don't think the 70% out of wedlock rate, and if you're inside the urban center, it's like 80% out of wedlock rate is going to fly. I don't think there's that many angels that are going to come down there and vouch for these chicks. Do you? In fact, Mary would get more love now than she would have back then, because Mary's very life was at stake when that happened, and her mother knew it, and she knew it, and they had to convince Joseph to take her. An angel had to come down and convince Joseph to take her. You don't know how serious of what happened to Mary was back then. In fact, in India, if that happens in India, where a virgin is supposed to be a virgin and gets betrothed to a man, and he comes and finds out that she's pregnant by somebody else, guess what's going to happen to her? They're going to get the firewood. And I can't tell you what's going to happen to that woman. That's how serious this kind of stuff is. Don't go to Asia and that happens. There's a shame on that family for generations if that girl does something like that. Put a stamp and a shame on that family for a long, long time. The black community is the only community that plays that crap. And think that men are supposed to accept it. No place else in the world is a man expected to basically take on another man's child, especially in a condition like that. I don't know where the hell you get some dumbass idea like that. You cannot be this stupid. Even you, Big J Triple X, you cannot be this stupid. And use the Bible in the name of God to actually fight your case on something that God forever has said that he was against. Have you ever read the Ten Commandments? Have you ever read about fornication? God does not play with sex in the Ten Commandments. God does not play with sex in the Jewish community. They don't play that kind of stuff. Black community and its slave culture is the only culture that allows for this kind of black female foolery. The only one. Nobody else allows for this kind of foolery. And then expect black men to be good concuserves and take it. Only in the black community where a man is expected to raise master's kids in his household and not say anything. That's where the redhead stepchild came from. Know good and well that red-haired, green-eyed baby is not yours. That area knows that she has belongs to the master or the landowner. It's not yours. And you're expected to raise it. Anyhow, that's all I got for this one. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.